Yako, everybody. Roger Muller. You're listening to a special interview with our very good friend and guest from the Denmark Red Cross Society. He's the Goodwill Ambassador. I've had the fortunate, I have been very fortunate to meet him to learn about his interesting story, something that's never been done before. So, without further ado, I'm like you all to tune in and listen to my very good friend from Denmark, Thor.
Hello everyone, my name is Thor and I am from Denmark, which is a really small country in the north of Europe. I am traveling to every single country there is in the world in one unbroken journey, and I'm doing it all without flying. And the reason behind that is because it's never been done before. I haven't been home for 6 years, and by coming to the Marshall Islands, I made it to country number 193. I have 10 more countries to go, and then I will become the first man in history to reach every country without flying. Because of that, I have been given the honor of traveling as a Goodwill Ambassador of the Danish Red Cross, and I've been connecting the Red Cross all around the world by touching base with them and meeting up, listening to their stories, and finding out what is it exactly that the Red Cross does all around the world.
All right, thank you, Thor. And just so our listeners can, not just the listeners on Majuro and Ebi, as we're later going to talk more about it regarding, for anyone who's interested later on, we'll be talking about Thor's project, which is titled Once Upon a Saga. And in terms of Red Cross, you've seen a lot of Red Cross societies, both the Red Cross and Red Crescent societies across the world. And to those listening, this is Thor's 193rd visit to 193rd country, to a country that just been given the 191st emblem membership as a national society. What does that differ in terms of youth or visiting us culturally wise, the need for a Red Cross, the movement itself, especially the volunteers? Because to our listeners, Thor, as he mentioned, as he's doing his project, he's also the Goodwill Ambassador for Denmark Red Cross. And he has met a great significant amount of the whole Red Cross family because majority of the whole countries around the world, they're members of the Red Cross movement. Thor.
Yeah, so I'm very honored every time I come and visit a national society. They come in all different sizes and shapes. And congratulations on becoming one of the newest national societies on this planet. I left home in 2013, and I think there were 187 national societies when I left home. So it's always good to see the family growing, and I'm very happy to see that Marshall Islands has become a part of the family as well. The volunteers are the backbone of the Red Cross. The volunteers is what connects us. The volunteers are doing the bulk of the work. And the volunteers form a community. A lot of friendships are created through the volunteer network as well. And it does a lot of good at the same time. So we're always hoping that we will get a lot more volunteers wherever we go, that we can find more volunteers in Denmark, we can find more volunteers in Japan, more volunteers in Kenya, in the United States of America, and definitely also here in Marshall Islands. So we have more hands to go out and do all the work we need to do.
All right, just one last question, Thor, before we say goodbye. As you mentioned on your very last word, the work that's being done, can you just share, because ladies and gentlemen, as I emphasize again, my good friend here, he's living a very interesting saga in his life. He's visited all these countries. What type of work have you seen the Red Cross volunteers do around the world? You've seen it all.
Right. Well, first of all, so this is my country number 193, and a lot of people might not even know how many countries are there in the world. And a lot of people can't give you a straight answer because it depends on what you define as a country and whatnot. But a good answer is always to say there's roughly 200 countries in the world. So what is the Red Cross? The Red Cross is the world's largest humanitarian organization. The Red Cross is found in 192 countries around the world. That's basically every country in the world where you find the Red Cross. So what kind of work does the Red Cross do? Well, that really depends on which country you're in. Some countries are dry, some countries are wet, some countries are landlocked, some countries are islands, some countries are big, some countries are small, some countries have armed conflict, some countries are rich, some countries are poor, some countries are peaceful. Like there's so many different models of how you can help people. In my own country, Denmark, loneliness is a big problem. So family relations are not very strong in Denmark, and for that reason you see people becoming lonely. You have maybe your parents, they grow old and one of them passes away and the children are in a foreign country or living in a different town or a different village, and then the one that's left behind gets really, really lonely. Or children are very lonely if the parents are alcoholics, or maybe one of the parents are in prison, or it's a lonely child. So the Red Cross takes hand around these people and takes care of these people. Now, I was in Syria a couple of years ago. In Syria, there's armed conflict. There's also a lot of normal life. People, they still like food and they have their families and they like to play sports and take selfies and stuff like this. But the armed conflict is a huge problem for a lot of lives. And you have teenage volunteers getting into ambulances, driving into the battle scenes to pull people and victims and wounded people out of the battlefield. It's extraordinary to see what young people can do in those cases. When I was in Nigeria, I spoke to a representative of the Nigerian Red Cross who said that there was a terror attack where someone threw a bomb into a building and the building collapsed and people were inside the building. And the Red Cross were the first responders. The Red Cross are often the first responders, meaning that they get there before the ambulances, before the fire brigade, before the police. They're the very first people on the scene. And the Red Cross volunteers were digging people out of this broken down building. They were digging with their bare hands. And some of them were digging for 10 hours and 12 hours and 14 hours straight, just trying to reach people and help these most vulnerable people in this situation. So it can truly be anything. It can be teaching people skills, teaching people how to cut hair or fix a car or paint nails, so that people, they get some life skills and they can go out and get money. Maybe teach people to read, read and write, teach people how to navigate the system at government so that they can fill out forms and they can get the best things for them in their life. It can truly be a million things. Anything that relates to helping people and improving the quality of their life, that's what the Red Cross is involved in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard Thor. Thor just shared that, and that was an amazing thing to hear. And just before we say goodbye to Thor, I just want to mention that the Red Cross in Marshall Islands just started in 2013. So Thor left in October 2013, but the Marshall Islands Red Cross started in November of 2013. And we just got inducted in December, and he came here in December. So in our culture, that's a spiritual way of saying it was meant to be for you to come visit us as the 193rd country. Not just that, Thor, I'm very happy that not only did you get to meet the Red Cross and share your story, your amazing story, what you're doing. To many of those who don't know, I've spent some time reading about Thor, and what he's doing has never been done before. And to close with that, I feel fortunate that he gets to see the infancy of our society, because we're still growing in terms of what we can do more. Not better, because we're already doing better, because we're doing what every Red Cross and Red Crescent does. We're always there for those in need, for the most needed. And just to let everyone know, Thor is on his way to 10 more countries, and we know he's going to complete it. And we thank him for coming to the Marshall Islands. He's going to be visiting our good neighborly brothers and sisters of the Federated States of Micronesia. So from us, we say in our language, komodada, and especially in Pohnpeian in advance, kalangan, and once again, komol. And if you want to learn more about Thor, just look up Once Upon a Saga or go to their website at onceuponasaga.tk. DK, thanks.
Delta Kilo.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is Roger Muller from the Marshall Islands Red Cross. Thank you for joining this special interview with my very good friend. Oh, last but not least, what is your full name?
Oh yeah, well, so I come from Denmark, and our names are, in my case, it's complicated. My full name is Torbjørn Cederløf Petersen, and the very first part of my name is Torbjørn, which translates to Thor and bear. So I go by the first part, which is just Thor.
And that's why we call him Thor.
Yeah.
Well, Thor, once again, thank you for taking the time to not only come see your other sister society, but to visit our people in the beautiful island of Marshall Island. And thank you for making this journey. God be with you on your other 10 amazing adventures. Thank you.
Thank you very much.